What's up, everyone? So, I just posted a card reading, one of my written readings, right? And it's crazy because, well, not really, but over the last couple of years, I have kind of turned a blind eye towards what I'm really supposed to be talking about on YouTube. Or not that I'm not supposed to be talking about what I'm doing already, but it's just another area that I'm being guided to speak about along my healing journey. And, you know, life is a healing journey, right? And so it's like I was just thinking about like when it started, and I'm just like, feel like the whole process, like living through everything that you have to heal from is part of the healing journey. It's like you have to experience those things in order to get to the other side, right? And to become the person that you're meant to be. You couldn't be who you're meant to be without experiencing all the things that make you that person. And part of those things are the rough stuff, the stuff that hurts, the stuff that stings, the stuff that rips your guts open, right? So recently as well, I've been seeing a bunch of things on, because I talk about relationships, a lot of like relationship things come up on my like my For You page and things like that. And sometimes I listen to them because it's like just different people's perspective, and I just like to hear it. But one of the things that's kind of consistent is it's always like somebody talking about how it's like, if they're a man, they're talking about how it's the women and what women need to do. And if it's a woman speaking, they're talking about what a man needs to do, to like why it's always somebody else. And something that I've realized along my own personal journey is that, no, baby, it's always just me, right? It's me. Like, I'm the fucking problem. And I just feel like that is something that we as people just need to really accept, that yeah, maybe people do things to you, right, that interfere with your life, or interfere with your mood. But it's time to really like take accountability, right? Like, there's, even when I'm going to say, like, one of my darker things, like when I was drinking, I've been raped, and while I was under the influence, even sometimes I've been blacked out, and it's not technically my fault, right? Like, somebody actually did those things to me when I was not in a position to um, defend myself, right? But had I not been drinking, I wouldn't have been in that situation, right? So it's like accountability, like going down, like peeling back the layers of like why I'm actually where I'm at, and why different things are affecting me, and why I feel the way that I feel about someone or something, right? And it's getting down to the nitty fucking gritty, right? And none of it is comfortable. Okay? It's like, who wants to admit, I'm hearing the words from uh it's the book 12 Steps and 12 Traditions, from, it's an AA book, and step 1 is literally my favorite thing to read as far as recovery, anything in recovery. Step 1, because step 1, if you're going to any kind of, I believe it's on all of them, but I don't know, it's ultimately about like um, We admitted we were an alcoholic and that our life had become unmanageable. So admitting that wherever you are, like, you're powerless, right? And you're the only one that can admit that. And the only one that knows if you've really done that to your core and within your heart and like your very soul is God, right? So all the other things that come after that, all the other steps, like it's trial and error, right? Like you're never going to get it perfect. You're going to have to constantly keep up at it. You know, at least that's how my journey's been. That's how I've heard the experience of others, like what they've said. It's just trial and error, but it's like true trial and error. It's not like saying, oh, oh, practice makes perfect, but just like intentionally doing something that you know is going to set you back, right? Um, so it's like taking that accountability. But step one, just the admission of it's that accountability and that powerlessness, that what you don't have control or whatever it is with whatever it is, right? That's between you and God, right? God's the only person that knows whether or not your intentions are pure or not. So God ultimately is the only one that can hold you accountable. Although there will be lots of people in life that think that they have a say in what you do in your life. At least that's how my life has been. Okay. I try to keep things on me because in my perspective, because that's honestly all I have to share about, right? I'm not a doctor, right? I don't have like, I'm not a therapist, you know. I just have been on my own personal healing journey, right? And have been guided to share my experience, strength, and hope with anyone who shows up, right? And anyway, so along after taking accountability, right? And then continuing to um, just move forward, right? In faith. Like it's like this admission of, you know what, I don't know how to fucking do this, right? Or I'm really lacking in this area and I need some assistance, right? It's like either way, it's like I have to like put forward some sort of like I have to have some kind of faith that things could be different, right? And move forward with the hope that things could be different, right? And I just have faith that God is going to show up or someone or put somebody in my path to help me along the way, right? Whether that's a person, place, or a thing. Sometimes I see a billboard and I'm like, oh, you know, it makes something come together, right? Whatever the billboard says. And like I'm just seeing this word no with explanation points, right? So, yeah. But if I want emotional fulfillment, right? If I want what I want, um, I need to be willing to put forth the effort to make it happen, right? It's not like we have magic genies. No, the magic genie is you. Like you are who you need. You are who you're looking for and who you're waiting for. You, right? And how I have connected with myself and gone to a place of where I can be as true as I possibly can, because I have been in denial for a long time about many different things in my life, right? And it has taken either repeated behavior that has just torn me up inside, that has like brought me to a place where I'm on my knees begging to be slapped with the truth, right? Because what's that saying? Denial ain't just a river in Egypt, right? Like it fucking runs deep within. I can just speak for myself. I know it runs deep within me, right? So being honest with myself, right? That's the first step. That's the first step. Well, awareness, I guess, is the first step, because I can't change anything I'm not aware of. And God's got a funny way of making me aware of things. And sometimes I can like catch it right away. And other times he smacks me in the face with a four, what, a 4x4 with it, or 2x2, whatever they're called, the lumber. Okay. I just got this vision of like wood being smacked in somebody's face. Right. So sometimes I need it like that. Yeah. Tower moments, right? That's how they come in. That's how these awarenesses sometimes come in, is these tower moments, right? And it's just things to grab your attention, so you start becoming aware of what actually needs to heal within you, right? Whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, however it is. Okay, yeah, healing, right? It's coming to light. All right, this is the sun. This is the happiest card in the deck, because it's like, what I found is, just in my own life, when I stay running from my issue, I have trouble sleeping. I have like a constant knot in my stomach, right? I'm under serious fucking anxiety, right? If I'm not doing the right thing, like, my body knows that. Like, if it's not even about like doing the right or wrong thing, right? It's more about, if I'm doing something that's against my own better judgment, or just like something that's just not who I truly am. Maybe at one time I was comfortable with it, but later, as I continue to heal, my path gets narrower and narrower. And the things that I can tolerate or withstand, or, the areas I can be, like, it becomes fewer and fewer. Like, I'm just uncomfortable. Like, I just have some either outgrown situations or outgrown habits, or even like with food. Like, if I'm not eating correctly, like, my body rejects it. Like, I get a fucking stomach ache, yeah, I start having issues like that. And so it shows up. Our body holds on to so many, they're saying like muscle memory, right? Like, our bodies hold on to all these different, it's like your body knows, your body's speaking to you, right? It's like, if you walk in somewhere and you just get uncomfortable, like, pay attention to that. That means, hello, like, there's some sort of red flag. There's something that's kicking up. It's kicking up something for a reason, right? Like, whether it's reminding you of some sort of situation. Oh my gosh. Or, yeah, I'm hearing like tragedies. Okay. It's like taking back, it's like how, when I've had many times where I smell something, right? Like, I'll smell a cologne of somebody that, did something to me, right? And it'll trigger that memory. And sometimes I can get uncomfortable. Okay. But it's like about feeling it, right? Just feeling it, not being afraid of it, because something that I've had to remind myself is that this is not happening now. This is just a memory. And in my mind, it can't hurt me, right? It's back there. It already happened, right? They already hurt me, but let me just release this. Let me just feel it. Let me just get it out, right? And these are things that I've had to do. I've experienced a lot of sexual trauma, like starting at the age of 4 all the way until, through adulthood, right? So multiple times. And, a lot of times it was never validated. Sometimes I was scared to press charges, right? I remember one time I was going to press charges, and I got scared. The person started calling and like following me and threatening my life and things like that. And, you know, I got scared, and the police were really trying to work with me, because there had been over 20 other women that he had done this to. And they were really trying to put this person behind bars. And I got scared. I was young. I was just a kid, and I left. I left that state and I went somewhere else. And, that has haunted me, and there's been so many things that have held me silent, right? And that was just one thing, right? And because I didn't have support from the people that were around me at that time. I was initially called a whore and a slut, right? And you know, it, I don't know why or where that mentality came from, but I do know that we're entering a time in life where these things are just coming out, and people are no longer being silenced because we're meant to heal. It's not to make anybody else feel bad or whatever. It's to heal. Like everybody has to well, nobody has to do anything, right? This is how I'm choosing to show up, like, but everybody gets the option, right? We all get free will. I know I want to heal. Every day I just strive to be better than who I was before. And the times where I was silenced in my life, like, it's been this shedding of all the fear, right? Because fear was instilled in me. Anytime that I'm not doing the things where I'm not myself, like now I feel more like myself than ever in my whole entire life. But I probably look like a stranger to somebody who knew me 10 years ago, right? They'll be like, who is this? Like, this is not Lisa. Lisa didn't do this. Like, Lisa didn't act like this. Well, that's because 10 years ago I didn't experience all the things that I experienced over the last 10 years and work through. I hadn't done the amount of healing that I've done over the last 10 years. I was only so far into my healing journey, 10 years ago, right? So, anyway, hopefully you evolve. Hopefully you rise above the things that have held you back, because that is, it's, I honestly believe that we go through this whole healing process because we're meant to have our hearts cracked open, right? We're meant to um, embrace the parts of us that are like, I don't want to, I guess, like the dark, right? But just because it's dark, it's like it also helped in different situations, right? It could have helped. Like, there were many things that I did as survival tactics, and I only learned that through going through like therapy and things like that, and my own reading and things like that, right? So I've learned to love that part of me, right? And just own it. It's just like, that's who I was. I did that. It worked for a while. I've forgiven myself for it. I just loved on myself so hard for the things that I've done that I carried a lot of shame for, right? And getting to the other side, right? Getting to the other side of these things that just hurt, and it's like, so it's like understanding who I am, understanding why I am, right? And knowing that it's there's really nothing to fear about who I've been or where I've been, because I know that I've forgiven myself for it, right? And I know God forgives me for it. And I feel like we go through things like this, these dark times or these hard times, because we're meant to work through them to get to the other side, to show other people they can get through them too. And then we just pass that on, right? So, yeah, you just got to keep getting up and keep leaning into it, right? I don't know that we're ever going to be done. I don't believe so, because I believe that that would mean that we're perfect, and perfect just doesn't exist, right? We're all perfectly imperfect. If anything, that's the only thing that we're perfect at, is being unperfect. And it's a beautiful thing. And there's nothing to be ashamed about for being wherever it is that you're at. There's a time and place for everything. And wherever you're at right now, you're meant to be there. Look, the star and the ace of wands for healing. And this is what's going to like spark you back to life, right? It's spark, like, re ignite your inner flame, right? To succeed, to live your dreams, to go after, to be everything that people said that you couldn't be, right? It's like, that's what I've also unfolded, is that a lot of the things that I believed about myself weren't things that I really believed about myself. They were just kind of projections of people, because I'm so empathic that, um, so I would shrink myself to make other people feel more comfortable, right? Or um, I don't want to say that like I'm like the victim. No, there's been times where I've been on both sides of it, right? And that was something I had to accept about myself, right? That where I was the victim to someone was also a victim of my behavior. You know what I'm saying? So it was that recognition for me that allowed for me to first, like, be aware of my own behavior so I could start to correct my behavior, right? And to show up differently, because I honestly wanted to be different. When I saw that, I was just like, whoa, I don't want to hurt anybody. You know, I don't want to, um, I just don't want to show up in life like that. And so, yeah, I became accountable for my behavior, which meant that I had to, like, watch my words, watch how I was showing up, right? Say no when I wanted to say yes, but I knew what yes meant. Yet yes meant all these other things that I was no longer willing to, like, live with. And no, it was not easy. Sometimes doing the right thing is the hardest motherfucking thing in the whole entire world, right? Because I'm naturally a rebel, right? And the dark side can be so enticing, right? And I'm not saying you can't, like, learn how to dance with it in a way where it works in a positive way in your life, okay? But it's not, for me anyway, to intentionally use, like, little tricks up my sleeve, or have tricks up my sleeve to intentionally manipulate people. That's never anything that I want to do, right? So when I began to recognize these things within me and understand that all these things that I did were, long story short, connected to traumatic events in my life, and kind of like my response to it, like just my response, like how I continued to show up into life after that. So it made it easier for me to forgive myself, but not just forgive myself, but forgive other people, and start to see other people as hurt people too, right? So then I was able to take things less personal, right? When people did things. At first I used to take everything fucking personal, right? And I used to pop off and blah, blah, all this stuff. But now I understand, or have a better understanding, that, man, we're all just fucking trying to live. Like, we're all just doing the best we can. And even if the best that you can is pretty crappy, right? Just try not to take it out on anybody, right? And for a long time in my healing journey, especially like early in recovery, like, I just couldn't say anything, right? Like, sometimes I would just, hi, bye, like, um, because I didn't know what to say. I didn't have anything to say, right? And I would just sit and listen, right? I was just so mortified by the awarenesses I was having of life, and myself. So I had to take that time to just accept I don't fucking know everything, right? And let myself be shown. And God put different people into my life. Thank God that a girl like me was willing to listen to. And so There's a prayer I used to say. I'm just reminded of this, so maybe somebody needs to hear this. I used to say, God, please open my eyes so I can see, open my ears so I can hear, and open my heart so I can feel if there's something going on in these rooms that I need to know that I might be missing. Okay, so you could say that in whatever version. I feel like I made it up, but somebody probably said it to me, But I know that I used to say it every single day, for a really long time until, until I just didn't have to anymore, and, but sometimes I still say it, I go back to it. It's like one of my little tools, right? I've picked up a lot of little tools, since I've gotten sober. Just like before I got sober, I had tools to numb myself, right? But now I have different tools that keep me sober rather than like going back to a drink. So anyway, this is, I just saw 2555. So 555, so you could be seeing that number. It is it does signify change. Okay. And the fact that we saw five or three of them means it's like triple. So big, big, big changes. And change might not always be comfortable, but it's worth it. So embrace your lessons, keep going at it. I love you. It can be done. Yeah. And talk to God, man. Love you.